Okay, so let's talk about one of Japan's most famous and, frankly, most unsettling legends, the Rokurokubi. Now, you probably think you know the story. But what if I told you the monster you're picturing is only half of it? The real truth is something much, much deeper and way more psychological.
When I say Rokurokubi, an image probably just popped into your head, didn't it? Yeah. It's that creature, usually a woman, whose neck just stretches and stretches to these impossible lengths in the middle of the night, all to scare the daylights out of you.
I mean, it's a total classic. You see this monster everywhere, from old-school woodblock prints to modern anime and movies. It's this iconic, unnerving figure with that snake-like neck. It's kind of like Japan's version of the monster under the bed. But here's the question that really changes everything. What if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if this terrifying thing with the super long neck isn't actually a monster? What if it's something way more human? To really get to the bottom of this, we've got to dig into this one specific story from the Edo period. It was written down in this collection of tales as if it were a real first-hand account. And believe me, this story changes everything you think you know. So picture this. We've got a priest named Zetsugan. He's traveling, and he stops for the night at this simple little house in what was then Higo province. Today, we'd call it Kumamoto. You know, everything seems totally fine. The family's nice, he settles in, ready for a good night's sleep. But in that deep, dark quiet of the night, something wakes him up. And what he sees is just, well, it's the kind of thing that would haunt you forever. He looks over at the woman of the house who's sleeping nearby. Her body, her chest, it's perfectly still. Just sleeping. But her head is gone. And then he sees it. Her head, totally detached from her body, is just floating around the room all by itself. It drifts over to a lamp, and then it starts doing something super weird. It starts licking the oil out of it. And then it just slips silently out the window into the darkness. So naturally, the first thought you'd have, the thought any of us would have, is that this woman was a monster, right? Some kind of demon, a yokai, just wearing a human suit and waiting for everyone to fall asleep to reveal its true, horrifying form. Well, here's the twist. A scholar from that same time period actually analyzed this very story. And his take on it, it completely flipped the whole monster idea on its head. He had a totally different and honestly a much more unsettling explanation. When asked straight up, was she a monster? This scholar, Yamaoka Genrin, had a very simple one-word answer. No. He was convinced that what the priest saw wasn't a monster at all, but a really deep and misunderstood spiritual event. Genrin put forward this idea he called yukon, and that translates to the wandering soul. See, this wasn't about a creature. This was about the human spirit itself, coming loose. So according to his theory, under very specific circumstances, like if someone is really, really sick, or if they're completely fixated on something, their soul can actually detach from their body while they're asleep. It's not a monster. It's a symptom of a spirit that's become untethered. And this is where it gets really brilliant, because this one single theory, it solves a major puzzle in Japanese folklore, why there are two monsters that are so similar, but just a little different. Genrin used this simple but amazing analogy. He said, think of the soul like a dog, and the spiritual cord that connects it to your body, that's its leash. So when this yukon thing happens, your soul is basically going for a walk while your body stays put. And this simple idea explains everything. If that spiritual leash, the connection, becomes visible, well, it looks like a long, stretching neck. And boom, that's a Rokurokubi. But if that leash stays invisible, all you see is a detached, floating head, and that's a different yokai called a nukikobi. Two legends explained by one simple question. Can you see the leash? So, if the hostess wasn't a monster, then what's the scary part of the story? This wandering soul theory completely reframes the whole idea of what's supposed to be horrifying here. Because get this, the next morning, the priest Zetsugan sees the hostess, and she's just normal. Wakes up, starts her day, and she has absolutely zero memory of her head floating around the room licking lamp oil. None. To her, if she remembers anything at all, it was just a strange dream, a weird nightmare that doesn't really mean anything. She is completely 100% unaware of what her soul was actually up to.
And that is the point. That's the real horror here. It's not about some external monster hiding among us. The horror is internal. It's the idea that a piece of you, your actual consciousness, could just detach, wander off, and do bizarre things, all while you're completely oblivious. It's a loss of control on the most fundamental, spiritual level imaginable.
This ancient story goes from being a simple monster tale to this really profound idea about the connection between our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. It suggests that the wall between our waking life and the bizarre world of our subconscious is maybe a lot thinner than we think. So the next time you have a really vivid dream, you might just want to ask yourself, where exactly was your soul last night?